Call me the indigo child, hey, I got the digital soundscape. You keep the haters from round me. My pleasure, I know that you clown sick. That bitch just bust a whole pound, bitch. Oh, ain't no cuffing around here. Yo, took me out on the town, yeah. Call me the indigo child, hey, I got the digital soundscape. You keep the haters from round me. My pleasure, I know that them clowns sick. That bitch just bust a whole pound, bitch. Oh, ain't no cuffing around here. Yo, took me out on the town, yeah.
Yellow diamond watch, yellow bottom style, yellow box to buy, tattoos on the skin and on the spine, tattoos on the heart to start to rub. Young nigga get lit it off some ride. Gotta had a couple hits on the ride. Swank just keep spinning, oh my god. Jay y'all spin solid on the squad. That shooters that can hit from very far. Nigga keep on hating, carry on. Cause I got my head on very balls. Niggas bragging but they really barely on. I'm bad like Billy, baby dog. Fuck with my skrilla, baby, or you just might initiate war. You don't want war with the gods, you don't want war with the gods. I get you smoke like the grass, I let you gone in the floods. I take your girl to West Palm, Florida, and put on my CD, you pummel that ass. I stay the back for the hit.
Call me the indigo child, hey, I got the digital soundscape. You keep the haters from round me. My pleasure, I know that the clown sick. That bitch just bust a whole pound, bitch. Oh, ain't no cuffing around here. Yo, took me out on the town, yeah. Call me the indigo child, hey, I got the digital soundscape. You keep the haters from round me. My pleasure, I know that them clowns sick. That bitch just bust a whole pound, bitch. Oh, ain't no cuffing around here. Took me out on the town, yeah. Hit it hard and I've been up the town, bad, man. Drunk too deep in that water, you know you can't swell. I'm a beach nigga off the rip. Cold name, all these women I diss. Fresh and I don't know, that's the bomb bitch. Hop out the boat since he left with your bitch. She loving the flick of my wrist. We take a risk for the chips. Check my arithmetic. Add up the chips, let them sit. I added your system, I said. Indigo respect, that's how it get, I don't trip. Snacks blow a lot of it, I'm the shit. Straight up Monopoly popping. You can join us on this odyssey, follow me. Burn up a bridge and I won't need apologies. Say our new shit is like an anthology. I can break all you haters like pottery. Oops, where your daughter been? With the ops sipping rose and you're throwing hits.
Hey, bitch, come here. Shut your motherfucking leg, come here. Mr. Pretty Tony, I mean, you know the rules of the game. I mean, your bitch is so... Now, we can settle this like you got some plans, so we can get into some yanks. Hey, tree nigga. You ain't no pimp. Your rest is involved. Your car thief, a car thief. The one you got out there is probably hot as a firecracker right now. There's $35,000 cash money. No, I get one. There's $35,000 plus one, right? The one I gave. No, you gave me six, all right? There was one. I had one with six, and there's $35,000 plus one plus six is seven. $35,000 is seven, right? Motherfucker, can you find that? Nigga. Next time you hear grown folks talking, shut the fuck up here. Look here, Bob. Bring the picture. Freeze, nigga, you wanna die. Wait, man. I'm gonna make you wish you never was born, nigga. Let's get out this dump.
Okay, can y'all hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. If y'all can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Can y'all hear me talking? Can y'all hear me talking? Okay. Alright. So I got my warning up. Warning: federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe on copyright under 17 USC 107. Okay, the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright status that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay. All right, now, and I will keep my disclaimer up. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Y'all doing okay? Hungry Squad, how you doing? Lady T, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all smash that like button. Smash that like button. I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna actually open up my call lines so I can discuss after I finish going over what I'm gonna talk about today. And what I'm gonna talk about is Dimitirc Moore. I'm gonna talk about him. Dimitirc Moore was this little kid, this baby, who in the state of Florida, New Smyrna, to be exact. He was found dead inside the trunk of his mother's car, right? And that was back in 1995. The reason that story kind of intrigued me a lot because Oral and my aunt are good friends. And anyone who's familiar with Daytona, they also familiar with Daytona, New Smyrna, Edgewater, Holly Hill, Ormond. Hey, Joanna, beautiful, Belle May, beautiful, how you doing? Y'all smash that like coming on in. They're familiar with South Daytona, Deltona, D-Land. All those are within, like maybe 10-15 minute driving distance. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. That's my sister. That's my sister. I have to call her back. Lord Jesus. I have to call her back. She would call me when I'm live, but I have to call her back. So, you're familiar with that. Hey, Augustus. How you doing? And all those little towns are connected. So, we're going to talk about New Smyrna. And with New Smyrna being as small, because you go from New Smyrna into Edgewater. So, on April 23rd, 1995, which was a Sunday, Dimitirc Moore, 8 years old, he went outside to play that day, and around 3 p.m., his mom had left to take her niece to church. And during that time, from the time that he had left to go outside and play up until the time she went to take her niece to church, Dimitirc had never come back in. Normally when you send your kids out to play, they'll come back in, to get water, run back and forth inside the house. Well, Dimitirc didn't do that. And so, she just brushed it off. Okay, well, he didn't come back in. He must be with my sister-in-law. They must be out shopping somewhere, yada, yada, yada. She just blew that off. So it wasn't until 9 p.m. when she realized that her son still had made it back home, which is still a long time. If your child don't come back in, we as mothers, we know, hey, we start going outside and calling for them. But Ora didn't do that. She didn't start worrying until probably about 9 p.m. that night. My son didn't come home. What's going on? This, that, and the other. So she brushed it off. That's still too long as a mother to be brushing something off. You know, to be sitting there saying, all right, you know, she didn't check up on him. But she called the non-emergency phone number to report that her son had not come home. At 10:15, she proceeded to leave and go to work at the nursing home that she was working at, which was Ocean View Nursing Home at that time. And when she got there, she had told her co-workers, you know, her son was missing. She was like, she worried because her baby had not come home. He was missing. So her co-workers was like, missing? And you here? Why are you here? So she was like, well, I didn't want to get fired, so that's why I came in. Number one, I'm not going to come to work, first of all. I'd rather take that fired. I'd rather take whatever. If my son ain't home, my baby ain't home, I'm not finna go to work. But she went to work, okay? She went to work. And she told the co-workers that her baby was missing, and they questioned why she was there, this, that, and the other. At midnight, she called to see had Dimitirc come home. He still hadn't come home. That's when she left and went home, because he still had not come home. And when she left her job to go home, that's when she started looking for her son. The very next day, the police department, relatives, people in the neighborhood, they all put together a search team to start looking for her son. That's still a very long time as a mother, and to go without looking for your child, period. That's still a very long time. At 3:43 the next day, Dimitirc was discovered in the trunk of Aura's car. Her 1990s, somewhere up in that 90s time frame, Nissan. He was nude and his wet shorts was lying next to him, and he was found in a resting position with his wet shorts that he had on, that he went out and played in the very next day, lying next to him in the trunk of that car. The police initially thought, when they first got him, that he had died of heat exhaustion, but it wasn't until the autopsy came back that it revealed that he actually died from asphyxiation, lack of oxygen. But he had on his body, he was covered in bruises, and he was covered in cigarette burns. He had bruises and cigarette burns over his body. The police immediately suspected Aura as the person of killing her baby. That's when, you know, they took it to a whole nother level when it came to her. They arrested her. They said that people started speculating that she beat her child, that she drowned her child. She put the child in the car to cover the crime up, to cover the beating up, to cover the fact that she drowned him. All this stuff. It was like a whole bunch of speculations. Hey, cousin beautiful, how you doing? It was a whole bunch of speculations that was going around on this lady. To include, on December 18th, Moore was indicted on manslaughter charges, where she had, the whole entire time, she had maintained her innocence, that she did not kill her child. In front of the grand jury, she went in front of a grand jury. She had a grand jury trial where she had to sit and contest her innocence, that she did not. Hey, honey, lot beautiful, my beautiful sister. She had to sit and contest the fact that she did not kill her child. So this is where the twists come in at. All through this time that this lady was going through this, right, the police questioned the 4 boys that was speculated that Dimitirc was with, and the boys said they had never seen Dimitirc. they had seen him, none of that. It was later that the boys eventually admitted that they had lied to the police and said they did see him, but the reason they lied because they didn't want to be looked upon as suspects in the boys' disappearance. So that's when the police turned their suspicion onto the boys. Barbara Moore, she did end up being acquitted of her son's death in June 1997. The case was closed. Then the case was reopened October 1997, and Dimitirc Moore case was even shown on NBC Unsolved Mysteries. They showed it once on Unsolved Mysteries when they first opened it back up. They had showed it on Unsolved Mysteries, but this is where the kicker come in at. Because they couldn't unearth any new leads, they closed it again. The case has been closed ever since 1997. The killer or killers of this little boy still have not been brought to justice to this day. Okay. When the neighborhood boys lied about not seeing Dimitirc, being around Dimitirc, or had not played with Dimitirc that day, that's when the police department really started focusing on them more. But they couldn't really tie them into it, and the reason they couldn't tie them into it because the boys' parents had a lot to do with covering up a lot of the evidence. A witness did come forth stating that they seen one of the boys holding Dimitirc down and they was bullying him and forcing him to eat dirt. So Dimitirc was way smaller than these four boys, and these boys was considered the bully. So they was bullying him, they was holding him down and forcing him to eat dirt. Investigators suspected that the boys had accidentally killed Dimitirc and during a fight that they had with this baby, and that the boys' parents had cleaned Dimitirc up. And somewhere during the time that they was out looking for Dimitirc, and they speculated that during the time that they was out looking for Dimitirc is when the parents had snuck Dimitric's body back into the trunk of Moore's trunk of the car. Everyone was searching for him. A lot of people came up and was searching for him, and they couldn't find him. Unfortunately, he was found in the trunk of her car, right? But it was kind of funny how two women, which was the two of the boys' mothers, came and approached Moore on. She was near the basketball court, and they had told her that Dimitirc had got into a fight near the railroad, which was like some further ways away. So she went over there to, look and see, was her son over there, was he located hurt over there, something like that. So that was during the time they said that maybe they had put his body back in the trunk of the car. And once that had happened, because nobody was around her car, nobody was able to physically see them put it in there, that's how they end up, not being able to have any type of evidence that they had, it was actually they had any involvement in it. But one of the suspects is a famous player and his name is Perry Baker, who now plays American rugby. He's an American rugby player. He used to play professional football for Philadelphia Eagles, and he played 2 seasons before he hurt his knee. Yeah. Hi, Nikki. How you doing, beautiful? He played professional football before he hurt his knee for 2 seasons, and then he played a series of other games and stuff and everything, and then he went on to play American rugby, where he is this famous American rugby player. But it's sad. This is the sad part about it is now you got this famous player out, right? Yeah, that's a big wow. You got this famous player out, right? And these kids done went on to college, done became professional players, got a career going on. The mother life done been turned upside down. Yes, she had other kids. She had an older son and stuff. How you doing, beautiful Nikki? She had a older son, you know, other kids, but her baby is not here. She done been taken through the ringer. Granted, her actions was not warranted because as a mother, and I'm not gonna fault her because we don't know anybody's actions. We could all sit here and say the shoulda, coulda, woulda, or what we would have done, what we could have done, and what we could have done. You know, but at the end of the day, until we go through something traumatic experience or something like that, that's all we can say. That's all we can speculate until it actually happened to us. Our actions of what we say we will do now does not depict what we will do when it does happen. So I'm not going to place blame on the fact that she got up and she left and went to work, because during that time, anybody knows, if you from Florida, especially up in that area, jobs was hard to get back during that time. Jobs was very hard to get back during that time. And they didn't care if you was on your deathbed. If you didn't make it to work, guess what? You was getting fired. They didn't care. You know, and it's just plain and simple. We could sit here and say this, that, and the other. I'm not going to fault her for her actions. But it's our baby. You know, times have changed. When I was coming up, you know, I hear a lot of people say they made this amount of money when they was working and this, that, and the other. Anybody could go back and Google back in 1986 and stuff. Minimum wage for me was $3.25. Okay? You could go back and Google it. It's there. Minimum wage for Florida Daytona Beach was $3.25. That's what they started me out with. Okay? That's what I made. And that's 1986. And I graduated in 1989. Alright? So, please understand when I say she was working her job and she had to be to work. But that's still a long time to go. And you know you have not heard from your baby. Anybody know anything about the police department in South Daytona? Anybody know the police department in Holly Hill, Ormond, New Smyrna, and Edgewater? They know they are not for us. To include, we did have somewhat of a police department that did kind of help us in Daytona. It just all depends on who you know. If you had family members working there, I had family members working there. It's just that some of them other places that I named did not have family members working there, and those police departments was not for you. I had a friend who was 8 months pregnant, was slammed against the car in South Daytona, was pulled over for no reason, was slammed against the car. 8 months pregnant, and then took her and slammed her on the ground. 8 months pregnant, didn't care. They did not care. The system worked for some, it didn't work for others. But this mother went through, K Money Beautiful, how you doing? This mother went through total bashing. She went through a grand jury. She went through accusations that she killed her son. And the real killers are walking out there. And no justice has been brought to them at all, point blank. That's not fair that they're able to have their life. That's not fair that baby life is gone. That's not fair that these mothers was able to see their child grow up. That's not fair that mother was not able to see her son grow up. Don't know what he would have turned out to be. Don't know if he would have had children. Don't know what type of grandchildren she would have had from him. Don't know any of that. At the end of the day, that's not fair. Justice has not prevailed. The case was open, it was closed, it was open again, it was closed, and justice still has not prevailed. And we're talking about a case that went all the way back from 1985, and here it is, we are in 2019. Okay, that's a very long time, and justice still have not prevailed. But we got a professional player who was once and still can be a suspect. Those kids know what happened to that baby. Those kids know. Those kids' parents have the answer. But anything dealing with a black on black crime probably ain't gonna get as much attention as it should have done back then, as it probably would have probably now. But due to the fact the case is a cold case, no new evidence came forth, and even with it playing on America's Most Wanted, was it America's Most Wanted? I think I'm saying that wrong, and I will correct myself if I am wrong. Even with it playing on NBC, I believe it was Unsolved Mysteries. Okay, Unsolved Mysteries. Evidence still not prevailed when it came to that. And that's very sad. That is very sad when you still did not have any evidence to come forth on that. But I can say Unsolved Mystery has been on point when it came to the guy who was on the FBI #1 top fugitive list, who was hiding in Daytona, and they found him when he aired because his girlfriend called him in, and they captured him right there off of Campbell Road when they caught him. So by them getting him on Unsolved Mysteries, getting it out there, they figured they will be able to get more leads to come in. But when you have parents who had covered up for their children the way they did and covered up the evidence the way they did, no new leads came about. But a few witnesses seen those kids with Dimitirc, and still yet no leads was able to come up to help this mother come to some type of resolution as to what happened to her baby, have some type of answers as to what happened to her baby, to have a peace of mind when it came to what happened to her baby. And that's real sad. That is very sad. Unfortunately, that's very sad, because I don't know what I would do if it was me and I was arrested and taken to jail and accused of killing my child and had to go in front of grand jury. But she maintained it all. Hey, Alice Green, beautiful, how you doing? She maintained it all. Yes, she did. She held it together, and she maintained her innocence, and that's a lot. But the stigmatism is still there when you have been accused of killing your child, and you know you did not kill your child. The stigmatism is there. Yes, that is very sad, K Money. That is very sad. Yes, it is very sad. But it's also sad when a mother have to go through that, because I wouldn't wish that on any mother. None whatsoever. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still in my workout suit. I didn't get out of it. I didn't change it, so I still got my little workout band on and stuff. Maybe I pull it back for somebody to think my hair ain't done, or none of that stuff. My hair is done. But like I say, you know, it's just very sad. It really is. It's very sad. I know it is very sad. I wanted to open up I wanted to do this topic because I really want to open up my call-in line so that we could all discuss how you feel about that. You know, what's going through your mind, how you would even react to a situation like that. And what I'm going to do is open up. Let me see. Can I do this? Let me see. I will that come up? Let me see. Will that come up? Did I? Let me see. Will that come up? If not, I'll go ahead and put up the call-in line number. And it is a very hard pill to swallow. I'm just testing it out. This not gonna be okay. No, I forgot what my command was. I gotta write my commands down. I actually had a command for that, but okay. We're gonna do this then. And there you go with the call-in number. So the call-in number should be coming up here pretty soon for y'all. And I'm going to open up this line and let me be the first to call. Why am I not being able to call in? Am I on hold? I think I am on hold. Let's see, can I? Let me open it up. Okay, y'all should be able to call in.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. There is one host in this conference.
Okay.
All participants are on hold. All participants are off hold.
Now, why am I hearing music?
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Okay, I have it open. Can y'all hear me? K Money, K Money. Let me see something. So if y'all want to call in, I forgot the this music is really killing me. Hi, 4947. Hello.
All participants are unmuted.
Hello.
Hello,
Miss Classy.
Hey, how you doing?
Awesome. So good to see you looking great up there on that green screen.
I knew my beautiful
Got some
sister was.
information.
Can y'all hear her? Put a one in the chat if y'all can hear her.
Hello to everyone in the chat. Because it has muted. I don't know if it's muted. It's unmuted. If you guys can hear me, can you put a 3 in the chat?
Put.
I forgot we're on delay.
If y'all can hear her, put a 3 in the chat. It's low.
Okay, turn yours up.
Okay, can you hear her now?
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Look at that pretty smile.
Let me see. Can I turn the volume up?
Yeah, because it was low even when the music was playing and you were doing the setup. It's low.
Was it?
Yeah. She's just better now. Okay, so I think I recall this case. You said it was in 90 when?
It was
97?
no, it was in 1996. It happened in 95 and
1996.
95 is when he was found dead.
Mhm. Yeah, because there's been another, unfortunately, with this bullying, there was another case that was very similar to this one. But being that you said he was younger than the other boys, I think he wore glasses. Yeah, they did try to, put dirt and stuff in his mouth and were doing things of that nature. And then there was a cleanup job. He was placed somewhere else.
Yeah,
So I do recall that.
it was, and I remember when my aunt had came home and she was talking about it, and I was like, huh? And so she was telling me, she said, yeah, you remember her because they all went to church together, went to the same church. And I said,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So when they had went out there, to search for him, I was like,
Mhm.
wow, because I was actually coming home. I was on leave and I was preparing to, go. I was coming back from Korea going to Fort Hood when that had happened. And
Mhm.
I said, wow,
Mhm.
I cannot believe that. But the trouble that lady had went through, the issues that lady had went through, it was like really awful. The system,
Horrifying.
right, and the system works for some but it don't works for all, and that was just kind of that was really messed up on
Yes.
on the
Mhm.
police
Yes.
department part.
On the yes, that is something that no parent should ever have to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And being that I believe my son was like 5 at the time, and ladies, you need to know that they do the same type of damage and gruesome things to boys as they do to girls. So I was always keeping a close grip on my son, his whereabouts, private school, things of that nature. But you still need to know that no one is free from being untouched because of the system, sick police, sick-minded teachers. Today we have all kinds of crazy issues that are going on
Mm-hmm.
in the world, period. And when they're unsolved, it's really, really sad when the police, just don't do their job. You're not important enough. Most times it is a color thing, but I don't want to, just put that's what this case was. But 9 times out of 10, it is a color thing, and they just put you in the cold case files. And I watch a lot. Before YouTube, all I did was watch forensic files, cold case files,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature, which is what made me want to be a researcher, just for justice and somewhat just to know the truth. Because even if we don't get the justice, if we know the truth, is when we can have petitions signed and things of that nature to try to work on at least the area where you live, or if it's affordable to go to other areas to help, but mostly to just be enlightened that this stuff is really real. It's happening, and that's somebody's baby. Like you said, their mom is never going to know their grandkids. Their mom is never going to know what their son was going to be in life. You know, it's over. They stole something very priceless from her.
And you and what Augusta sat there and said, you're right, we do live in a cold, dark, evil world. And unfortunately it is sad because a lot of kids, a lot of parents, and not saying a lot of the parents, because for the most part many of the parents are guilty of guilty of being involved in the death of their child and stuff. But then you have those parents who were not involved in the death of their child, who's being accused of it. But then the system overlooks when the death of a child is involved by another child, and you have the parents, the
Yes.
right, and you
And this is so on point that you're saying this, because yesterday I was watching, and I don't remember, I don't know where it happened because they didn't with what do you say? They didn't show it. They didn't reveal that. But a young girl, she was like 6 years old, went missing, and she had an older brother, and I believe it's now 14 years later, and a runaway saw that this happened and came back and pretended to be that girl. And of course, the mother and father so desperately wanted it, they thought it was her. But the brother was looking strange. So to make the long story short, come to find out, the brother tells the the little sister the truth, that he knows she's not the daughter, and the police had found out she's not by the dentures or, by DNA, and tell her to come clean. And then they set her up to record the brother. Come to find out, the brother accidentally killed her, and the father covered it up because he lost one kid, didn't want to lose another. So the mother ends up being by herself, completely devastated that one of her child killed the other, and now she's alone, period.
Wow.
And it was so deep. That was yesterday.
But even with that story right there, at first they thought the brother was the one that had something to do with killing his little brother, and due to the fact that maybe that the little boy had was the older brother was jealous of the little boy, and then they said the little boy had snuck in, and the mom was mad at her son because he was out and he had got dirty, and she had beat him so severely and put him in the tub and drowned him, and it was just all kind of accusations
awful.
that was flying around on her. And at the end of the day, when the police end up questioning these little boys actually sat and literally lied and said no, they had never seen, they didn't see him, when in actuality the witnesses finally came forward, which they should have came forward when they first arrested her, and said, hey,
Yeah,
you arrested the wrong people, because we seen him with these boys
with
earlier.
those boys. Hmm.
Right, and it wasn't until the police had released that the boys had lied, and that they was now looking at the boys as suspects. So
How old were they? Because they should have been put in detention centers. Like, they don't need to put them in jail, but they should have been put in detention centers, or taking those kids away from their parents until further investigation, because the parents need to know that this is something serious that has happened. But they didn't do that. But they do it today to our young boys and try them as adults, today, for hate crimes. But the justice was unfair. And as Augustus says, if you're not stable mentally enough to be a parent, don't have any kids at all, it's so easy to say, of course it shouldn't be that way, but they're letting the, drug addicts have kids. You really can't stop, a person from having children. And it's so unfortunate, especially when there are parents that are good, stable, mentally stable and financially stable that can't have kids, you know.
Right.
It's a double-edged sword, but we gotta love. That's why it does take a village to raise your children. But the villages today are not like they used to be, you know, when I was growing up, you know. So you gotta be even scarce about your village, you know. So you just gotta pray over your kids really and know what they're doing and keep the lines of communication open and, you know, so many different things, which that's a whole nother story. But this is a very, very sad one, and I just, you know, wanted to call in and share my thoughts about it. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I love kids, all kids, even the bad ones. You know, I love them because they didn't ask to come here. We bring them here. We have to protect them.
Exactly. And I don't even know the ages of those boys. I know they was a little bit older than him. I know they was way bigger than him. And
they were bigger. I think they were like 12 and he was like 9.
Yeah.
And he was a puny guy. It was something like that. They weren't teenagers, but they may have been like 11.
Right.
I want to say 11.
Right.
11, yeah. They weren't in middle school. They were older than him, but he was like 9.
No, they was actually in middle school because back during that time, remember we had you remember back during that time you had elementary, middle school, and high school because sixth grade was still considered elementary, and then 7th, 8th, and 9th was middle
12.
school.
They had to be 11 or 12. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And then what was it? 10th, 11th, and 12th was high school back during that time.
Exactly.
So, you know, they didn't get charged for anything. They were looked at as suspects, but they didn't get charged with anything, and that's sad.
So they didn't have the pressure. That's what I'm saying. They weren't scared. There was no fear put in them, because if they didn't have that fear of taking away from them parents and making them think they're gonna live somewhere else, somebody would have started talking. Somebody gonna tell, because someone's gonna be scared and want to go home to their mommy. Because even at 11 and 12, even though they thought they were big bullies, them were still babies, and they want to be with their mama, you know. So
exactly, you know, and
unfortunately, there was no consequences.
Right, and unfortunately, you know, during that time, you know, she was a mother who was working at night, so she had to rely on, you know, the older ones to look out for the younger one when she was at work at night. But still, that's still a gap. That's a long time to go without having hands on or eyes on your child. That's still a very long time. Exactly. I don't care how anybody put it.
Yeah, that's too long. It's like, I think I bought my son his cell phone when he was 9, and he knew that phone was for me. So I have to call and let him know who's picking him up from school, what time, who it was. He knew not to talk to anyone. He knew not to answer the phone at home. It was solely for me to know his every waking moment. And though, you know, that's a little kid who's putting his backpack down. He would get the phone stolen all the time. But guess what? God blessed me and allotted me to be able to be, you know, very financially stable to do all these things. And I spent a lot of my money protecting my son, you know, making sure, and family and friends as well. So, yeah, Augustus is saying taking parent. Augustus, everything that you're saying is so accurate and on point. You know, because when we were growing up, I couldn't even be outside after 5 o'clock. Street lights came on, you come in the house. And I'm 12 years old. But my brother, who's 9, 8, 7, he can stay out and they're playing football till 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
But no, as a girl and anyone on my block, I couldn't go past the third house on the block. And we knew everyone. The neighbor could spank you, anyone, if you got caught doing something that you shouldn't have been doing. So the times were just different, and I didn't get many spankings, but I got some, and I'm grateful for them. You know, I'm grateful for them. I knew it came from a loving place because I got set down after that spanking and told why. And 9 times out of 10, one time is because I ran out in the street, so that means I could have killed myself, so that's serious. Another time, I was ditching ditchy school, playing outside outside of the school was considered ditching. So I really wasn't ditching, but I was outside of campus. Somebody told on me. I got it good. And another time, being honestly, my little friends, and we took some sewing fabric or something out of the store. And they took our picture and scared us. Girl, I was so scared half to death, you can't pay me to take nothing. But my neighbor I called, I was on drill team, and she picked us up, and we let her spank us, and she didn't tell on me. But the horrible thing is, my great-grandmother sewed. I sew now, but it's like, you just learn. You just don't know what to do, and, you just do things you don't think about. And next thing you know, you're in a situation. But again, I had a village. We had a village. And today we just don't.
Exactly, because I know with my village, being raised by my grandparents, I had my godmom who's an identical twin, and the identical twin and the identical twin, she couldn't have kids, but the other identical twin had a bunch of kids. So it was like, the one that had a bunch of kids, she's really my godmom, but the one that didn't have kids is also my godmom, because she wanted, it was like a big fight. No, this my godchild, this my godchild. So they was like, well, we both gonna be the godmom. So that's how I ended up with two godparents. And then with them staying, like my grandma stayed right here, and then we called the hill, which is the house next door, because it was on the hill, which was Mama Easter May, and she the one had 4 sets of identical twins. And the one set of she had 4 sets of identical twins, and the one set of identical twins was my godparent, my godmom, and godmoms. So when I say my godmom, she's the one that with my sisters and my sisters and them have the restaurant down in Georgia. Then I have my aunt who stayed next door, and then I have my uncle who stayed in the next house, and then I had my granddad older sister who stayed like right next door. So it's like on the hill, that's what we call the hill, and the hill consisted of the whole family. So when we go on, and we call that the hill. So when we go in Madison Heights, which is where the church was, and the church was by me having my aunt who went to St. James Missionary Baptist Church, and then I had my aunt who went to Madison Heights Church of God in Christ, because St. James Missionary Baptist Church was on one road, and then on the next road was the other church. So it's like one weekend when I'm with one auntie, I'm at this church. The other weekend when I'm at that with the other auntie, I'm at that church. Then when my dad come get me, and then I had to go with that side of the family, then I had to go down to either Gainesville with my auntie who's she's a certified clinical psychologist. Going down there, everything was like you get a whole different experience on life. And then, or I'm down in Miami, which on September 6th I'll be down there in Miami, because anybody that's from Miami-Dade County, they already know about Maurice Darden. Maurice Darden has a whole holiday after her, which is September 6th, because the city had deemed that day a holiday behind her. So it's just like I had a legion of villages that raised me when it came to if I spit wrong, somebody was going to be there to see me spit wrong. Then it's not only that
part.
right, if I'm in school, which was Campbell Junior High, if I even remotely left out the classroom to go use the bathroom, then I had Mr. McCreary, who, where you going? Okay, let me go get your auntie, who's a teacher, and then here it is, Miss Faircloth. You know your daughter, and I'm like, I couldn't spit wrong. None of us could spit wrong. So what I did was, sometime when it comes to our children, we have to teach our children, life is not about candies. Life is not about chocolates. Life is not about what it is that you have not worked hard for. So what I did was I sent my kids back 1 year out of the school year back home so that they can see exactly what it felt like to not go get your hair done, to go get your nails done, to go shopping, to go have this, to go at the leisure of going to use your ATM card. I sent them back. And I'm going to tell you, they did not like it. My husband sat there every day. He would get in a phone call. Can you please come get me? Can you please come get me? Please, please. I promise, I promise, I promise. I would never not clean my room again. I promise I will always do my chores. It was always something because
Girl, yes.
they was like, I did not realize, Mama, that the school was made up of our family members. I went to go do this, and they say, you better not do it. That's your cousin. You better not do it. That's your cousin. You better not do it. That's your auntie. I say, yeah, you did not realize that? I say, why you think I could never get in trouble? Because Daytona, anybody know about Daytona, they know about the Wrights, they know about Sampsons, they know about the Browns, they know about the Lewis, they know about the Williams, they know about the Maddoxes, they know about all of us. They knew about everybody.
Yes.
You know, you could
Yes.
spit hard.
Yes. Well, you know, that's the thing with small towns, and it was, even though I wasn't raised in a small town, my grandparents and parents came from a small town, Malvern, Arkansas, and Louisiana. So I really was raised like a little country girl. You know, that's the way I was raised, and those were the morals I stood by. And everything, you know, was really old-fashioned. I appreciate those old-fashioned things. I still have those type of ways in me because I like those, and they help me stay grounded. You know, I utilize them today, and I use them with raising my kids. I didn't understand, of course, at 18, 19, and 20 going through that, you know, why. But as an adult today, it's a blessing to have your ancestors' gifts handed down to you of how to be with family and how to be with your children and to protect them by any means necessary, even when they're wrong, you know, and to be honest, you know, and to, you know, when they talk about having fear in your children, yeah, you have a fear, but the fear is so that they won't get out of line to something that will hurt them and get them in trouble. You don't want to have the fear in them so bad where they lie to you, you know, because you want them to be, you know, able to tell the truth, but not to stray away too much from the story at hand. It's very, very sad, and these are very crucial times we're living in. I'm not going to call them the last days, because I feel, in my opinion, last days are our last days, the generation, because it's always the last days as you approach over your 50s, you know, so your last days are numbered. You have more time ahead of you, behind you than ahead of you. So, of course, those are your last days, you know, and it's all about what we leave here for our kids, you know. Leave something good. Leave something behind. My grandmother, who just turned 95 last week, always told me, honey, you don't know who's watching you. And I know the little neighbor next door who doesn't even speak English and who just turned 4, and her birthday is the same day as my grandmother. She watches me. She doesn't even speak English but to me. And you don't know what teenagers are watching, what you're doing. She told me my mom used to watch her raising my dad because they were neighbors. So you don't know who's watching you. So be the best that you can be. You don't have to be perfect. No one's perfect, but if you set your morals, if you're honest, you're hardworking, or you're working from home, or you a stay-at-home mom, and you're on government assistance, it doesn't matter. It's just be the best person that you can be, because someone is watching, and you're going to help someone else lead a better life. And with that being said, I've got to do a breathing treatment, you know, sis.
Okay.
And I love you.
And I love you too. You know, and I always love when we have these talks. And you know, me and you have these talks all the time. I love
all the time.
Yes, I love it. You know, and I respect the opinions. I respect the
Thank you.
advice that you give when we be having these talks, and that's why I love
Don't
having
make
these
me
talks
cry.
with you. I
Because I
really
love
do.
you too.
I
I
love
love
having
you
these
for
talks
that.
with you. And thank you
It's
for
so
calling up,
good.
y'all. I was just
You're
testing out my
welcome.
call in, and I'm gonna try to use that more often, when I have topics like this and stuff and everything, because at the end of the day, it's about you bringing awareness. So, that's the good thing about it. I want to be able to drop caller, yes.
Goodbye.
I want to be able to have more talks like that, where I am doing lives like this. And I really thank Honey Lot for calling in, and I love her to death. Y'all just don't realize how often that me and her have these deep conversation talks, and we have these deep conversation talks all the time, on life in general, when it comes to kids, when it comes to the things that we had our kids involved, the things that we was brought up in, the villages and stuff and everything, the family, and what have impacted us in life. Like I said, it's not about what you went through in life, because it's not about moving backwards, because we're not going to move backwards. It's about what you wake up to today and moving forward all the time. Turn your volume down. Am I talking too loud? Is that better? Is that better? Let me see. What about now? Is that better? Okay, so it's not about moving backwards. It's about moving forward in a positive manner, and I really absolutely do love those talks that me and her have, and we have those talks all the time, and that's why I say I guess I'm a real old school person, because I was raised around a lot of old school and older women. In my upbringing, I had a lot of my uncles and them. Yeah, I sit there and say my uncle was the #1 pimp of all time, but my uncle also taught me a lot of things when it came to men in life as well, in general, and not to be a sucker for a man. And I had my downfall, yes, but one thing I can say, I'm not going to never embark on talking about that from the past, because to me, that's like taking 3 steps backwards, and I don't want to have to take 15 steps forward to get back to where I'm at. So I won't embark on that. What I can do is always sit there and tell anyone, life is not always easy. And unfortunately, when it came to Miss Moore, life wasn't easy when it came to her at all. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Life is not easy when it comes to us, although we have not gone through the situations that she have gone through, but we have gone through some situations at one time or another in our life. How we handle it, how we cope with it, how we move forward from it, it depends on us. It depends on our ways and our actions. We can always learn from it. My footprint can't fit your footprint. Your footprint can't fit my footprint. My footprint can't fit Miss Moore's footprint. But my prayers, my understanding can go out for what she has gone through, as well as my prayer and my understanding can go out to anybody else who has been through something, who has encountered something, but most of all, who have conquered it and who have moved forward in a positive manner. Not one to teach someone else, but one to move forward and let the past be the past. And this is Miss Classy coming to you once again. Take the time out to like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that like button. Subscribe to everyone that's on this channel. Share some positiveness. We are in a time and day and age where it's time to be positive about the things that we do, the things that we say. That girl can draw. If you're not subscribed to her, please subscribe to her. She do have another drawing challenge coming up. On the drawing challenge is going to be a fireplace. If you don't know how to draw, because Miss Classy don't know how to draw, I YouTube that. I pulled up the YouTube and I put on and did that. Do the same thing. You believe it or not, you won't realize how creative you are until you actually get out there and start doing it. You know, shout out to Straight Drop, shout out to Logic, my little brothers. Always love y'all to death. You know, I always love y'all to death. Always support you, always be there. Y'all know I'm on their phone call away when it comes to anything. Everybody, you know, just take one day out of every day and do something real positive for somebody that you may know, that you may not know. And just remember, tomorrow is never promised. As a matter of fact, the next hour, minute, or second is never promised. Because you could be here today, right now, talking. And as soon as you get off that live, you could be gone. And it is what it is. So remember, just because you sit and say you're positive don't always mean you're positive, because you could always be thinking something negative at any given moment. You know, try to live to what your words say you really is and not just speak it. You got to always be about it. Granted, we're not always about it, but we have to always try to be about it. All right. On that note, this your girl, Miss Classy. I love you all. Y'all have a blessed day. And I see you on the next one. Don't forget the Walker Halter Challenge. And please, please, please do not forget the Valentine's Day giveaway, y'all. Please don't forget the Valentine's Day giveaway. You still got time to get your stuff in. The Valentine's Day giveaway won't be judged until February. So please don't forget that giveaway, okay? Please don't forget that giveaway.